You are kind of weird when it's not working out in the beginning.
I don't necessarily wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning.
When they start getting some cash flow, they get a little bit comfortable.
People say that the 9 to 5 is the safe route. I really don't think it's the safe route.
Tweak it, feedback, redo. It is easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not easy, but it is simple.
I was so close to quitting the day before I got my first ever sale.
I think that's also the elephant in the room. It's that it's like ecom versus agency.
Yeah, a lot of people get caught up with waking up at 5, doing meditation, writing down notes, instead of just maybe working.
You had so good numbers in ecom, and I've saw the articles. I checked your Danish company. I could literally see on okay, this guy did this. In this world, they were it's the most fast-paced dopamine social media. Young people have never been diagnosed more with depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
How do you comfort yourself with the fact that you need to work hard for maybe 1 or 2 years on something?
Honestly, I think my largest secret to all I've done is that. Okay, so welcome to a new format. Today I jumped on a podcast with Frederick. We decided to just have a sit down, talk about ecom, agency and life. I think we've seen that our life is pretty similar in a lot of areas. We haven't actually talked that much before. So I think this is going to be interesting and hopefully we can learn a lot, all of us. So maybe a quick introduction of Frederick, in the way I've seen him. So in my eyes, he's done really well with his agency in the past. I know you've done some solid numbers there. And then you've had Short Form Society, where you coach a lot of people and do build a business around that. Yeah, now you're on to your new chapter, obviously. Yeah.
I appreciate the intro.
Yeah.
And, I think it's cool that we can sit down because, as Nikolai said, our journeys are crazy similar.
Yeah.
Because we both started with one business model and still kind of run it, and then we pivoted into coaching, and we lived in the same area and same age, and both do some content and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool, and I think from what I've seen from you, Nikolai, is that I wanted to jump on this thing with you because I also resonate a lot with you and your story, and because I think that you and also my brand is kind of similar in the way that we portray the online business model and stuff. And I also know that you're very good at what you do with ecom, and I've also seen the numbers and I've read the news articles, and I know that this guy is legit,
Yeah.
And also that you're doing very well with the coaching, and I've also actually met some of your students and heard reviews, and I think it made good sense to do something today.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think on this talk today, we're going to go through a bunch of different topics, but maybe the first one, most obvious one, is how did you get started with everything?
Good question. I think most relevant one, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that's also the elephant in the room. It's that it's ecom versus agency.
Yeah.
Which route should you go?
Yeah.
I think I went with the agency route because that's what's kind of the model and the ad that I was exposed to.
Yeah.
So I saw a guy that was making twice as my parents, and I was there's no way,
Yeah.
It was center stage back in the days, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Then I did my research, and then I knew one of my very good friends, his little brother was actually running a marketing agency.
Yeah.
So for me it was okay, if he can do it, and I've been exposed to this ad, then let's run with it. And I think the thing that attracted me to that was that I'm a big human person. I like to connect with people and talk and speak, and what attracted to me with the agency was the fact that I could work with multiple businesses and people, and I wasn't depending on a product. It was just me and myself that I was kind of selling.
Yeah.
So that was how I started.
Yeah.
And how about you?
It's fun you say you was exposed to an ad because I saw a YouTube video, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people also in our teenage, they just get exposed to different people. Maybe today, like you and I.
Yeah.
Also, so it comes with a large responsibility.
100%.
But I just saw one of those basic YouTube videos about dropshipping. Tried that for a year, failed again and again and again. Pivoted into doing ecom brands instead in Scandinavia and Denmark, and got started that way.
Yeah.
So but I think it's actually fun. I didn't know that you also started from seeing somebody else doing it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I think everyone kind of does.
Yeah.
Because you live your regular life, and you for example, both of my parents are school teachers, so I knew nothing about business.
Yeah.
It wasn't try to do your own thing.
Yeah, the same as me.
So I think having a very good childhood and being told that you can do anything, and just having good friends and good people around you, and then suddenly you're exposed to this whole new world almost, online business and make your own money and these kind of things.
Yeah.
So I think it's always that thing that exposes you. and then the ball is just rolling. Yeah.
Exactly. Did you actually think it was possible to succeed with an online business? Because I remember for me, like, I almost thought all of the people online were lying because it seemed like so out of the world that somebody could make 10 times the amount that the other people were.
I definitely had my doubts.
Yeah.
And especially also when you start out, because when you start out, it's the hardest.
Yeah.
Like, because you have no knowledge, you haven't tried it before.
And maybe you don't know anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like the odds are stacked against you in the beginning. But I still think that it was possible because, you look at all of the wealth and everything around you and it's like someone made the money, It might as well be you.
Yeah. I agree.
So I think, what about you? Did you think that it was one big scam?
Yeah, like I had a moment of doubt, to be honest. And I think it's so interesting because now obviously both you and I know that it's very, very realistic if you work hard to succeed. But back in the day, I actually thought that maybe some of the people online were just lying. Like I couldn't wrap my head around it. Also because at that time I was just failing for a year. So while I was failing, I also thought that obviously nobody else could succeed with it.
Yeah. I signed my first client in my agency after like 6 or 7 months. So I think my feedback loop of like some positive reaffirmation kind of like it triggered a bit faster. But like, how did you keep going if you had like an entire year of not seeing anything?
I also think like I'm maybe putting it a bit like on the edge when saying that I failed for a year, but realistically I made my first ecom store, did a bunch of errors with that. I dropshipped in the US like everybody was telling me to do. And I had my first sale like 1 week into the store, but what happened with the store was that it did never get profitable. So it was just for break even for 12 months. Obviously, I actually feel quite fortunate because it made me learn a lot. Like I was stuck with a brand that didn't do that well, so I had to upskill myself, right? But then I tried all different kinds of other products and it just couldn't get profitable. Like I just couldn't make all that money that people online were telling about. Yeah.
So what made you change into like building the ecom brand like in Scandinavia? Because that is what I know about you, right? Is that Scandinavia ecom? It's like, because the cool thing about like talking to you and seeing you is the fact that I actually knew your brands. Like I've seen the ads before, So I knew, okay, like what made you change into that?
At the point, I had one good friend of mine actually that I went to high school with, and he started doing some ads. Like he also started an agency for ecom brands, and I saw that all of the kind of companies, brands he was doing well with, those were Scandinavian brands. And when I took a look at their brands compared to what I had done, it was just completely different. Like dropshipping is so much more about finding those trendy, gimmicky products with low quality, and it's just much more of a kind of you try and gamify something almost instead of building a real business that provides value. So I took a look at all of the brands that my friend was doing well with, and I could just see that they had really high quality pictures, like genuinely good reviews, good products. And so I thought, okay, let me try and do that instead. And then obviously later on I found out that there's much less competition also in advertising in Scandinavia compared to the US, right? So yeah.
Is it also what your students are doing? Are they mainly in Scandinavia?
Yeah, or Europe. Like I always preach going for more localized countries, like Denmark, Sweden, the Netherlands. Those are great countries to launch in. Much more than the US or like Australia. They are just very far ahead in terms of ecom expertise over there.
Makes sense. I think that's pretty cool. It's also what I've noticed from like teaching people is that the market is a lot different than when you were doing it yourself back then. So I think for us, for example, we teach people, or we taught people. It's a new transition, so we gotta keep. In short form side, we taught people how to like start and scale their agency and then scale info businesses, so coaches, consultants, etc. Right. I think the main thing for us that like always kept us on our toes with like the most updated stuff to teach was the fact that we ran a coaching business ourselves so that we could teach that. And we also owned a coaching business in Germany, for example. So we could like always test what like works the best while the market is evolving. And so like, how do you kind of like keep up with this stuff with like that you're teaching your students?
I think, as you say, like the most important thing is to do it as well on the side. And I feel like that's also something you and I have got in common, that it's really important for both of us to do real, honest businesses on the side as well, like with the coaching or like coaching something that you're actively doing, right? So yeah, I'm just doing that on the side and get a lot of input. I guess that's the same for you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I've also seen your YouTube videos where it's like
Yeah.
you still like start brands and you
Yeah.
like scale brands, which makes it a lot easier for you to teach, right?
Yeah. I'm addicted to it. Yeah. I think it's so much fun. Yeah.
That's good.
Actually, I'm a bit curious, like about just now, since it's almost the first time I'm also talking to you about your previous businesses. Like, can you kind of pinpoint what you recommended your kind of students to do, or still with the people you coach today, like in terms of growing? Like, is it very much some of the same stuff you're doing, of being authentic, that kind of stuff, or like,
Yeah, 100%. I think it's so important to treat your business like the most long-term thing ever.
Yeah.
And that just kind of like when you have that perspective onto your business, then it kind of like translates into everything that you do.
Yeah.
For example, the first message that you send to a prospect, then if you know that the business is built on like your value and you and where you're going and what you want to build long term, that will reflect in your first message to a prospect. It will reflect in the service you deliver to make sure the clients are happy. It will reflect in the way that you do your content and how you portray yourself online, because you know that it's not a short-term cash grab or something fast so that you can get out. It's like it's you and what you're building.
Yeah.
I think that is what I'm trying to teach my students, and I think in the beginning maybe it wasn't the best thing, because it's like it's hard for people to accept that this is going to take a long time.
Yeah.
There is nothing like fancy to it. It's not like we have a magic pill that we give to people and then they're successful or whatever you want to frame it as. I think like but that's the right move, 100%.
Yeah.
Because you also know that when you started out, like how it's just like one big snowball of like new opportunities, new stuff, new people you learn, new businesses, new projects. So it's like one big thing.
Yeah. I think actually what you said about the magic pill is really interesting. Like a lot of new beginners or people who want to get started into business, they all, obviously, I wanted that as well myself, to get success tomorrow or in the next month.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it would have been nice, but it's just so like unrealistic, don't you think?
100%.
Yeah.
And I think looking back, I'm so happy that it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that I spent 6 months back home with my mom, like reaching out to so many businesses, taking so many bad sales calls, switching agencies. So I'm so happy, because every single day when I wake up, I think back to those like 6 months, and I'm like, I'm so grateful that I can do this for a living now. But I'm also very scared that I'm gonna go back to that.
Okay, yeah.
So I think there is no magic pill.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I don't know how it was for you, but I know during the 12 months where I kind of had some issues with getting off the ground, like I learned so much because it kind of forced me to level up. Yeah. Like I just had, because I was break even, I had to try and just build the perfect site I could, or like really deep dive in on the ads part of things. So then when I did the pivot and build brands, things completely exploded.
Yeah. And I think it's in the beginning, it's so hard because like everything is also stacked against you.
Yeah.
You are kind of weird when it's not working out in the beginning.
Yeah.
And your friends will be like, Nikolai, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah.
And like this dropship, what are you doing, man? And then your family is also like, what is going on? I think my family has always been very supportive of the things that I'm doing. But of course, when you're not seeing any results, it's like, it's not speaking in your favor that this is the way that you should go, right?
Yeah, I remember, I started down prioritizing high school and my parents always wanted me to get a degree, all that kind of usual stuff. Yeah.
What did you learn from that? What was the biggest takeaway that you had from like keep going, even though that it wasn't looking like the biggest victory ever?
I think actually the concept for me was that before I had the dropshipping business, I actually tried succeeding with day trading for 2 years.
Nikolai the day trader.
Yeah. And I failed with that for 2 years as well. So I was very, very just used to actually failing and kept going anyway. So I almost think at that point, I was just so used to it, and it was just so much a part of the game, was just failing again and again, but then trying something new.
Nice.
Always. And so, as you said, I'm very grateful for that period as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Did you set like a deadline or like a time frame for yourself?
Yeah, when I finished high school, I had tried for like around 1 year succeeding with that dropshipping in the US. And then I started trying to do deadlines for myself. And I was done with all the partying after being done with high school in like, I think August. And then in the next month, I set a deadline that I wanted to create a real brand in that month.
Nice.
Yeah, then I made Scandinavian Wrist.
Yeah. That's a good brand.
Yeah.
I think many people they because the market has been because there are many people like us,
Yeah.
Preaching that you should start a business and teaching you different models. And because there are so many of us, it's like we need to get the same group of people's attention, right? Yeah. So the claims and the offers just becomes like more and more extreme and more and more crazy.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm so grateful about that when I started was that I gave myself an entire year to make it work.
Yeah.
So like I moved back to my mom's place after studying in the US, and I was like, Fred, you have 1 year to make at least $5,000 a month with your business.
Yeah.
And a whole year, right?
Yeah.
And full time. Yeah. That is like looking back, it was a decent time frame, and that a lot of hours dedicated. Yeah. But whereas today I have many students that come to us where they're like, hey, I have like 2 hours a day. Yeah. And I want to make 10K a month within 3 months. Yeah. And then we have to say like, then this is not for you, bro. Like, go find another place. Yeah.
No, I agree. And I think it's interesting what you say about everybody's fighting for each other's attention in this day and age, especially also with introducing new business models. So the claims do get more and more bold, and then somebody says you can get started in 30 days, and then it's 2 weeks, and then it's like, so it's always, but I think unfortunately a lot of beginners, new people are just searching for the most easiest opportunities with the lowest amount of work almost. Yeah.
And it's natural, like we as humans, we want the coolest thing as fast as possible.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because if we've been exposed to something or seen something, then of course we want it as fast as possible. Yeah. But I think it's what you said in the beginning, right? We have a responsibility for the people that we also communicate to and kind of like let into our world through this online business or coaching or whatever it can be. Yeah. So I think for me, it's always been about like communicating the harsh truth and then actually getting the right people in. Yeah. That's why like 95% of all of my ads that I've ever ran is like, it's hard to start a business. Yeah. And then continue the ad, because then just within the first 3 seconds, all the wrong people are kind of like moved on.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I actually also think looking back, like I was so discouraged when I tried succeeding because I had all of those dropshippers on YouTube talk about how they made so much money in such a short time period. Now I realized that I'm also kind of doing that in some of my videos now, but the main thing to realize as well, which I didn't at the time, is that maybe some people have worked on their business for 4 years before, right? And then they are talking about their peak period ever in their business. And as a beginner, like you don't kind of see all of the past work that everyone else has also done.
Exactly. Yeah. And all social media and all YouTube videos are also like only the coolest 5%. Yeah. People don't see that you work many hours and these kind of things.
Oh, yeah, all the issues.
all the stuff, all the shit that you just have been going through.
Yeah.
How would a normal day look for you, for example? Because I know like your videographers here, and I know that you film videos. And like now we're in this cool studio and talking. Yeah. Right. But I promise you, me and Nikolai, we don't, this is not at home or anything, like we're just chilling. Yeah. But like, how would a normal day for you, for example, like look like?
So I think it has changed a lot as well. Yeah. Looking back when, like a couple of years ago, I was very much into that typical morning routine, and I was very kind of protective of everything, how I did it. Yeah. Now I'm more focused on actually just putting in the work. So typically I wake up at maybe 7. I don't necessarily wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning, like some people preach. Because I really value my health. I know that sleep is crucial to that. So I wake up at around 7 and I just get instantly in front of the computer, kind of just seeing all of the mails, the Slack messages, that gets the dopamine rising. Like, then I need to wake up to respond to everything. So I do that probably for a couple of hours, get in some light breakfast, maybe go to the gym, and then just back at working. That's literally just it. That's it. Then sometimes, I'm doing content as well. I'm trying to prioritize that a bit more. How about you?
Same. Yeah. Like same. Right. I wake up and I go to the gym. Yeah. Because for me, then it's kind of like out of the world. Yeah. I don't have to think of like, when do I have a time for it? Yeah. It's just always the same, man. And also just like same time to bed. Wake up same time. I wake up 7:30, so I sleep in a bit more than you.
Yeah. I think for me, I also sometimes I use the gym as a kind of a natural break in my days. So maybe like I go to gym at around 12 or 1. Yeah. Right when I feel like, okay, I need a break from working now. Or then I use the gym for that. But yeah.
That's nice. I just use daily walks for that. Yeah. Like you can grab a podcast or just like nothing at all and then go for a walk. Yeah. But it is, as you said, like it's just work. Yeah. And I think for many people listening to this, maybe they'll think that, work, that's not good, like because they when they think of their work, it's something that they don't want to do. And probably why they're watching this thing, maybe to learn something or whatever. But I think I've spent a lot of time trying to make sure that I associate my work with something positive. So every time I think of work, it's not like, oh, I have to do this annoying stuff, or it's like a burden to me. It's like, I'm just grateful for being able to like run my own business at a young age.
Yeah,
and
like do something you find fun.
Yeah, exactly. And for example, content, I have to shoot content. No, you're like putting yourself in front of a camera and inspiring thousands of people on how they can do the same thing that you've done.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. I think it's very much how you see it. Like some would see this as work, but it could also just be sitting down with a friend talking.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And everything's just a framing at the end of the day. You know, like what you tell yourself is going to be the truth. And of course, there are also tasks that you and I do that are horrible and we don't want to do them.
Yeah.
But that's just part of being an entrepreneur, you know?
But I think like on the point of working, I think that's just, I also have it a lot with the people I coach and the people I talk to, like who I ask for advice. And honestly, I think my largest secret to like all I've done is that I think I've put in more hours than anyone else in like my space or region. So that's kind of my secret. I'm not sure how it is with you. Like, do you see work as well being just the input of hours so important?
100%. I think, of course, it's volume. So like hours and like repetitions day in, day out and just doing the work. But I also think 100% is like also about prioritizing the right tasks. I think like looking at my business now, there are maybe like 5 things. If I do them, then I'll sustain my current business. You know, and then of course there are all the other stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
But it is true. Like it's just work and repetition and time. And because we can sit here and talk is because that we've had 2-3 years of just work where it didn't make sense to sit here and talk. Where it was more important to do work.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, right. I think it's important to get over the line because a lot of people get caught up with waking up at 5, doing meditation, writing down notes, then you know, going to the gym or whatever. Like instead of just maybe if you're starting out, just working.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
We always taught our students that like the first 2 hours of them spending time on their business, so it could be after their 9 to 5, after their studies, no matter how many clients they had, how much revenue they were doing, they should allocate the first hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on where they were, into like money-making activities. So like tasks that would scale your own business. Yeah. And then you should do the client work, and then you should do long-term stuff such as content or networking or getting better or getting more knowledge. Yeah. Because what a lot of people at least do in the agency, and I can imagine it's the same in ecom, when they start getting some cash flow, they get a little bit comfortable. You know, it's like, oh, this is nice. Yeah. Now we're busy. I have to do some CRO on the website and like make sure this is good. And like instead of just reaching out to more people, getting more clients, building that.
Yeah. I think I agree. I just think maybe for ecom, sometimes it could be a bit more complex knowing what is your money making activities. Actually, like I reflected a lot on that myself when also I still do with my ecom branch, right? What is it exactly that moves the needle?
What is it in ecom?
It depends on your stage, I think, right? So with beginners, the largest thing is testing new products and doing it quite fast. But on the same side as well, like upskilling yourself, like becoming better at building your sites and ads. Yeah. Then later on is those larger strategic moves. Probably the vast majority of it is the ads, but you know, also coming up with those new supplementary products or offers. But there's just so much, to be honest. Yeah.
It's a crazy question. What is the one thing they got in ecom, bro? You gotta tell me so I can start an ecom store after.
Yeah. Maybe also one thing that you and I just discussed before we went live that we wanted to touch upon is that a lot of people obviously nowadays really want to become business owners, like really, really badly. It's almost the go-to thing that people want. Yep. And while I get that, it is a really, really interesting life. You have a lot of opportunities. Very often we as humans also tend to not see the downside of things.
True.
How have you seen that maybe in your life yourself?
Oh, I think there are many things that you don't like see or know before that you enter the space. Yeah. And they kind of like show up in periods as well. Yeah. You know. But I think for me, obviously, the big downside is like sacrifices. Yeah. Because as you also said, it's about the repetition and putting in the hours. Yeah. And every time you work on a business, you're not with your friends and you're not doing fun stuff or whatever it can be. I think for me, sacrifices 100% especially socially. So with like my high school friends and those kind of people, and also family time. especially now that I live here versus in Denmark.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I very much agree that I think everything comes with a price.
Yeah.
But then again, maybe the obvious question is, why are you then doing it, right? So also for you, like even though you're making those sacrifices, what kind of keeps you going? Why do you think it's interesting having a business?
Very true. I think I see the upside is like way bigger than the downside, and I know that everything also kind of like comes to an end. It's not that I won't see my high school friends and my family back home for like a long period of time. Because now we're also in a grateful position where we can fly back home, or we can fly the family here, or we can spend time with them there. So I think for me, it's always just like a risk reversal in terms of like upside, downside. And I think with the goals that you have and the life that you want to have and the impact you want to have as well, and then also the things that you want to build, it's just necessary. So I think it's very important that when you start your business, that you have a deeper reason than just some money and some time freedom, or you want to travel a little bit, because that's only going to get you to a certain point, and then that's it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's actually fun. I know for myself, when I first launched my first ever ecom brand, my largest goal was just getting, I think it was an Omega watch and some new clothes for myself. That was the kind of the goal. I thought that would be so cool, being able to make your own money and just buy some clothes or whatever, right? But then as things got more tough, I also changed my goals to like higher, more ambitious goals, because you need those larger motivations for going through all that failure and
especially and like new clothes and a watch is not gonna get you out of bed on the days where it's like
it definitely isn't. You need those larger goals. You need something to work for.
Exactly. I think for me the biggest thing has been like other people depending on me. So like telling my family about like why I do the reason, or why I do the work that I do, and why I spend so much time on it, etc. Because then I feel like it's not just about me anymore. It's also about my mom and dad and my girlfriend and my little sister and like grandparents. Because then I know that it's not just me.
No, I think that's interesting. I feel the same way, right? I feel like I'm working for my current family, but also my future family, like for the future freedom, for everyone around me. Because
it would be so nice to just like have your, like when you get children, for example, that you can just spend time with them instead of having to worry about a day job or the finances or these kind of things. But I think it's very rare these days that you find people that can look so long term and also kind of like separate themselves from their goals and where they're heading.
Definitely. I think my largest goal is just being able to actually be really, really present whenever I have my own family, probably, or when I'm more with my family back home, like really could spend all of my time that I want with them. And then money isn't an issue or whatever. And I think for me in the past few months here, it has changed a lot my mindset on it. Because as you mentioned, I'm onto a new chapter thing. Short story is that we basically decided to shut down enrollment for short form anxiety, and then my business partner and I parted ways. Because I think if you would have asked me like the sacrifice question like 3 months ago, I would have like mentioned a bunch of other stuff and like how hard it was and like these kind of things. But I think over the past few months, it has like shifted my mindset a little bit in terms of like I can actually live a good life now. I can actually do things that I enjoy, and I don't have to like set a limit onto myself that I'll only do these kind of things when I have a certain amount of money in my bank account. So like to make your life like miserable in the process. I think I've spent a lot of time and like finding out that there are actually things that I can just do now and still grow my business and still be present and still live a good life. I think that's the thing. I'm also probably a bit guilty of that still. So would you say you're maybe like even more satisfied with your life now after all of the reflecting you've done?
100%. I think for me now it's more like I would rather have it like I'd rather reach my end goal in 5 years, living a life that I fully enjoy throughout the process, than reaching it in 2 and having 2 miserable years of like crazy sacrifices. You know,
I think
you're the same.
I think like I totally get your point, right? And I think some days I feel like you, and then some other days I just feel like I need to pull myself through hell or whatever. Like I definitely stand with your point. It's just, to be honest, I don't think I'm always. Maybe I haven't that time to reflect that much actually.
Yeah, and I didn't do it consciously. It wasn't that I like sat down one day and I was like, okay, Fred, we need to change something here. It slowly came to me after like finishing one project and like being done with that, and then like looking towards new alternatives and like the next chapter. It just came naturally.
Yeah,
I'm very happy that it did, because it made you reflect on the past 18 months or so.
Yeah,
and then like also taking the learnings and the things you enjoyed from that, and then like, okay, what am I doing now?
Yeah.
But it is true, like it comes in seasons, right?
Yeah, I think
there are seasons where you like build something new and you really put your heart and soul into it, and then there are also just times where it has to like let it run.
Yeah,
I know you told me the first time that we had dinner that that you like build like an entire web shop on Bali or something.
Yeah. That's correct. Yeah. So I think sometimes for me as well. Now I made a 3PL, a warehouse in Denmark as well. Yeah, that had a lot of upfront work, but also I found that really interesting. Like it was something new. So I also feel like very, very often I'm also enjoying the work a lot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, also know that I also need to put in a lot of hours.
Yep.
Yeah. But right, I think there is seasons to everything. Also with the mistakes and issues that we spoke about previously, I know for me, like sometimes it just felt like I was literally going through hell with all of the things that were happening. It often comes in those, combined days or months or whatever. But yeah.
It's true. How do you deal with it now? Now that there are like problems or fires to put on in your business, like how has the previous experiences, like how has it shaped you?
I think the main thing for me is that, when I had my first like large issues, and when I talk about large issues, I am probably talking about things that feel like could end everything, maybe like all business, all that you've worked on. And I think many times towards one's journey, you might have those moments where you think like, okay, this is some really, really terrible stuff. And what I've just realized is that I've always overcome it, right? So now when I have those issues, or like when I feel like, okay, this is really, really bad, then I just realize that I felt that 12 other times in the past and came out of it.
Yeah.
Perhaps even on a positive, right? And I learned something from it. So I try and face it like that still. Try and put my emotions a lot on the side and just let time be, still work on the issue, of course, and just kind of trust that, okay, this one will pass as well. And I think often it does. And I think also very often, like your problems also scale in proportion to what you're doing very 100%. Often. Yeah. So when I'm also working with students that want to create ecom brands, sometimes they feel like they've got that kind of disaster issue, but luckily I'm there to tell them that, okay, I had that issue as well. That's not a large issue. This is a large
You
issue.
will be good.
Yeah.
And looking back at your journey, just like it builds character.
Yeah.
And it is, as you said, every time you feel like discomfort, then from all the other times where you felt discomfort and this uncertainty, that if you just do your thing, then you will also pull through and be on the other side.
Yeah.
And now it's just like you can just do it on autopilot almost.
Yeah, no, I agree. I also think that it's the one quote I think I heard from Alex Hormozi, like you can't wish for a strong character and an easy life.
No.
Like it doesn't go hand in hand. So I think I prioritize strong character.
Yeah. I'll also pick that one over anything else.
Yeah.
Speaking of Hormozi, what do you think of him?
I think he's good. I think he's got a lot of good quotes. I actually, one of the main things I resonate with him is probably, like, I know he finds a lot of comfort in this, actually. Like, I think it's the same with me, that I like to zoom out and think of the bigger picture and just realize that, like, one day, everybody has to die anyway. Yeah. And so if you're facing large issues and it feels like the end of the world, don't worry, because like you'll have to die anyway. And that's the largest catastrophe, right?
Yeah.
So it's just more about maybe not taking things as seriously, taking more risks, not taking mistakes so seriously either. I really like that point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. How about you?
No, I think he's very cool, you know. And I think it's interesting how, like, every time I speak to like a beginner or one of our students with like no previous experience, it's like people always mention Hormozi, because it's one of the people that people in like their early stages, they always get exposed to him,
Yeah.
So I think it's just fun to see him, how he like shapes the entire industry and all content and like all the sayings going around.
Yeah.
But I think like he's of course extreme when it comes to like the hard work and like the sacrifices.
Yeah.
Which there is some kind of true in it, but I think I'd not so much for me.
No, it also depends on what you want, right?
Yeah.
For what his goals are, he has to put in, the top of the line work.
He really has.
Yeah. So it depends a lot on your goals as well, I think.
Yeah. What are your goals now?
My goals, I think, like maybe short term, I want to continue build current ecom brands I'm running on.
Yeah.
We've got some really cool brands that I'm working on that I'm very excited about. Really excited as well to scale up the 3PL that I've built. That's like the first kind of non-online business that I've ever had.
Yeah.
So I think that's very, very fun. A lot of staff and employees involved in that, but I think that's really interesting as well. And then, of course, as well, build the personal brands, do stuff like this, and help other people build ecom brands. So I just think scale up everything. Do more of what I do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I think somewhat the same.
Yeah.
So like keep growing, of course. But I think for me, like I've always been in the info agency space, either scaling other people's coaching or scaling my own coaching business and teaching my students. So I think now I want to like take that knowledge and then try to turn it into like some other areas of like this whole business world.
Yeah.
So I think like kind of like a new chapter.
Yeah.
Kind of like just build something that is like bigger and better and cooler in a way.
Yeah. New chapters also like those are kind of the largest pivotal moments in one's career probably.
Yeah.
I guess for you also it was a really new chapter when you stepped in front of the camera for the first time. Right? Like how was that entire experience for you? I know for me it was very, very strange.
Yeah. Very uncomfortable. I remember when I had to post my first reel, for example, like a head talk Instagram reel back then.
I remember I saw it.
Yeah. Because I started way back with short form content and offering that in the agency, so I kind of like had to post some videos myself. It was so uncomfortable. I remember like sitting there with my phone, whether I should post it or not.
Yeah.
But it's over time it's become a lot better, know, and you get more comfortable in front of the camera and also speaking.
Yeah.
I think the biggest disadvantage for you and I is the fact that we're Danish and we have to like communicate in English because it's not our main language.
Yeah.
I always get so jealous of these like UK, US guys that can just like be native.
Yeah. Luckily I feel like my English has improved a lot since starting with content as well. But looking back, it was so difficult trying to also explain high level ecom stuff in English as well. But also just being in front of the camera, like you really have to get used to it. Now I feel like it's fine. Yeah.
But it's again back to the upside and the downside.
Yeah.
Because you know that in today's day and age, you can like post one video and then you can reach like tens and 20,000 of people.
Yeah.
And it's all for a greater cause. So
and also once again, like I just love everything that challenges me. So I know when it's uncomfortable or I feel a bit nervous almost. I know it's the right direction I'm going in. Also with content, I think it's you're just building upon that skill tree of yours.
Yeah.
Like now you can also sit in front of the camera and speak comfortably.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's important, And I think for you, for example, like you've always been like ecom and products.
Yeah.
How has it been like suddenly being Nikolai and like people seeing your face?
Yeah, it's strange because back in the day I kept all numbers to myself so religiously.
Yeah.
Like also not a lot of people know, but I was kind of talked by my partner in my personal brand and Scaling With Ecom, my mentorship program, into going forward, into stepping into the light with all of my numbers. He had to convince me a lot because I love just being myself at home behind my desktop, and now suddenly telling about all of those numbers. It's actually like not a lot of people in my family even knew the numbers I was doing because I didn't want to talk about it either. I was very afraid of that people would portray me as too arrogant or I've just seen so many people online where I think like they think way too much of themselves just because they've had success with business. Like
it doesn't make you a better person.
No, it doesn't.
Made a little bit of money and then
then you feel like you're on top of the world. There are a lot of other things to accomplish as well in life.
Have you like had any bad experiences with like ever since you started building a brand and like running ads?
No, I think, of course, there will always be like people who think that you're not doing what you should be, or just commenting on stuff in general. But I think luckily I was kind of used to that from also running ecom brands. Like I've had over, I think, 140,000 orders on my ecom stores.
Oh, wow.
And so with that, obviously you will have a few customers that aren't satisfied.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes. You can't get around that. So
True.
I was kind of used to, that scale success also came with a few negatives.
Yeah.
So or perhaps also because of all the past failures, as we spoke about, I've built that kind of shield around me. So I feel like it doesn't affect me that much.
Very true.
Have you had any?
No, actually no, which is very nice and very fortunate. Of course, I have the same like thoughts as you, like being public with how much money you're making and like. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't change anything for me how much money I make, but I know for like friends and family and people, like I just don't want them to look at me differently.
Yeah.
Just because I make more money than them, for example.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't change anything with my personality or my values. I'm still the same guy, So I think that was a big same factor for me. Should I speak of this? But it's also, I think, what separates you and I is that we've always shared fully transparent, like our numbers and like screenshots, and also been like somewhat like true to also explaining that, hey, this is revenue. This is not what is inside of my bank account right now. We also have cost with team and ads, etc. But of course, I'm just waiting for that bad experience. Like it will come. But I am the same as you. Like I know that I'm true to myself. I have my values. I know that my product is good. I know the numbers that I did with my own agency, and I know that my students are very happy about the program.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't hate on a good product.
No, you can't.
Good luck.
That's the thing. Yeah. But it's a really good point also about that revenue isn't profit. A lot of people online will make it seem like that. And sometimes I stumble upon people who think that I've made $19 million.
You have $19 million in your account. Show me
right now. That's not it. That's not true. So I think it's important to be honest with all of that as well.
Yeah.
With the upsides and the downsides.
Yeah, 100%. That's also what makes you human and why people at the end of the day want your coaching, right? Is that you show both sides to the middle, kind of.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
that's just important,
Yeah.
Because people can just smell the bullshit from a mile away if you only show the cool stuff.
Yeah.
And that's also how the space has changed a lot. Like, for example, when you saw the first ads and I did, it was like only the good side and like only outcome.
Yeah.
Whereas now there are so many coaches, there are so many people that can help you, and now they just want to resonate.
Literally so many, but also the honest truth is that there are a lot of ways to go, right?
Yeah.
Like agency and ecom isn't either the only things to do, but it's just that there are a lot of people out there who maybe don't have as many results as they should have before they step into the light and start coaching other people.
Yeah, I agree. And it's true, like every single business model works. You'd never have me saying that like, oh, you shouldn't start an ecom store, it's saturated, or they're low margins, or because I know it works. Just like agency works, affiliate marketing works, and maybe even day trading. I don't know.
I don't think so. Not that one, but
not that one.
Yeah, but
So I think like you have ecom experience and I have agency, but what do you think is like universally traits that you should have as a person if you want to succeed with your business?
So I think the universal traits to succeed with business is with everything in life, right? You have to be persistent. You really have to reflect a lot on what you've done and the result on that, right? If you did something and that happened, why? Right? And then pivot based on that, right? And just put in a lot of hours. Like it is also that simple. If you play soccer every day for your life, like 10
you'll be pretty
hours,
good,
you'll be one of the best guys in the country, right? And so I think those are the main traits. Like, do you have any other?
No, like it's so true with like everything that you do in business, just with everything else in life.
It's people think there are a lot of secrets, gimmicks, trends, hacks. There really isn't.
Nope. And just a long enough time horizon, really, because you can put in the hard work and you can put in the repetition, but if you don't give yourself a long enough time frame to like see or harvest the fruits from the seeds that you planted, then it doesn't matter.
Did you ever think about quitting when you started?
Every day.
Yeah.
No, of course I did. But I think for me it was so comforting to me that I'd like set myself that deadline.
Yeah.
Because in like month 5 and month 6, when I didn't have any results, I knew that, okay, I've become so much smarter in this time frame. I've learned so much about like outreach and service and like sales, and I've gotten better network, and like I've put myself out there, and I still have 6 months left of my time frame that I set myself.
Yeah.
So it was very comforting for me that I knew that I like had a long enough period of time to like actually succeed.
Yeah.
But of course, I also wanted to quit. It sucks in the beginning. You know? Just like if you're overweight and you start going to the gym, it's the worst thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
All the exercises and machines are new. How do they work? And like you're used to eating shitty food, and now you have to eat this
and also
chicken
because
and rice. You know?
like you're not sure where you'll end up, right?
Exactly.
Like
There's no guarantee.
Yeah, with the input you're doing, like you're not sure where it takes you.
Nope.
Looking back now, everything seems way easier, but in that moment, you're
so unsure.
Yeah.
And that's also what breaks people. You know, it's this uncertainty.
Yeah, it is.
And then you combine that with like a family that doesn't really believe in you, and your friends that tells you that you're weird for trying to start a business, and why won't you go for a beer, Nikolai? And like, what are you doing in your bedroom?
Yeah.
And then you like go online, and then you like check your Instagram, and it's like crazy highlights of people on a jet ski in Dubai, and then you're like, okay, I might as well just, what is this? What am I doing wrong? You know?
I remember for me, you know, I just always had that thing that even though we spoke about sacrifice and that you should enjoy everything, I really had that thinking that it didn't really matter to me sacrificing 2, 3, or like maybe just having 2, 3, 4 years with a high input of work to then live the life of my dreams for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
And that's what got me started as well. When I saw all of my friends out partying, doing whatever, I always thought that, okay, they might have fun now, and they might have fun now for maybe a couple of years more, like really enjoying life. But I hoped that I would do it long term.
100%.
Instead, and then be able to do what I want.
Exactly. And you can still go out and have a beer with your friends, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And just do it. Just have like 3 months of work, and then go out and have a beer. Maybe have 5 or 6, you know?
Yeah.
And then back to work, you know? But you shouldn't, it's just one big balance. All the time.
I just think that maybe like when you're starting out, it's really difficult finding that balance.
Yeah, it is.
So I know for me, it was way easier just for myself to just cut everything out. To just be like, I had heard all of the successful people talk about that you need to work a lot. And so that's just what I did. I feel like as I've got more and more results, it's way easier for me to kind of find that balance with everything.
I think so too. And I think also for me, it was also the comfort knowing that like both of you and I are from Denmark. Right. And I think for me, it was very, very comforting that I knew that the worst case scenario was just like going back to whatever my friends were doing. So literally my worst case scenario was move to Aarhus, like a bigger city in Denmark, study some business, get paid to study literally in Denmark. Fucking have a beer Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with your boys, and then just like live a regular life, like get a 9 to 5. That was literally the worst case scenario, you know? And that for some people that is comforting. For me, it was a bit scary because I didn't want it, but at the same time, it also gave you like the security that you kind of like needed to push with your business.
Definitely. You know, I think for me as well, it once again came a lot for me back to death, right? I knew that like every single person I knew, they had a very, very kind of typical life in terms of jobs. Like all of their structures were very much the same. And I knew that everyone was going in the same direction. Like you do have limited time. So I thought as well, for me, like there's really nothing to risk. It can only become, better or different.
Exactly.
And that's so interesting to me, trying to build a different life.
And I think also you and I probably have a similar childhood growing up, but like we weren't really exposed to business or wealth or anything. So I think for me, I also took a lot of inspiration from like my parents in terms of all the stuff that I wanted. So like I wanted, I have a sister, for example. I also want 2, 3 kids, right? I want that loving household where you like you eat dinner together and you go to sports and like you spend a lot of time with your grandparents, and like I wanted everything from that side. But then I wanted nothing from the 9 to 5 or getting picked up late from kindergarten. Luckily, I didn't have a lot of experiences there, but like there is just like you take inspiration from the stuff you want, and then there are things that you really don't want, and then you change upon that in your own life, right?
No, I agree. I think that's with almost every single person you meet. Like you think there's something that they're doing very cool and very well, and then there's something like that you aren't as interested in.
And I think that was also a good exercise for me, because a lot of people, they tell you like, Nikolai, what is your goal? What is your why? You know, and like you try to picture that. But I think for me, it was more about picturing the life that I did not want to have. Because we are just more driven by negative emotions, and we hate losing more than we love winning.
Yeah.
So that's just important. That's a good exercise.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely. It's also crazy for me when I launched my first ads ever on my ecom brand, that dropshipping store. I was so close to quitting the day before I got my first ever sale. And very often I think about where I would be if I had quit at the time. But I remember a lot. I was so afraid of becoming one of those persons who would just quit every time things got a bit tough. You know. So I think because it's so easy to quit, and you can very easily get addicted to quitting as well. So I just remember thinking to myself that I can't quit because it will become a habit. I was so afraid that I would just quit on everything as soon as it got a bit tough.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I quit playing football when I was 15.
Yeah.
And back then it seemed like a good decision.
Yeah.
And I also think it was a good decision because I got a new friend group and I changed school, and I lived a very happy life, and I had good friends and a good circle and these kind of things. But looking back, I always had this feeling of what if I didn't quit?
Yeah.
And I think that whenever I started my business, I translated that feeling of fuck, I can't quit this also,
Yeah, exactly.
Because what if I keep doing this? It's the same, it's a habit that you create.
It is a real habit. And then you want to try a new business model, right? And you do that for 1 month, and then you quit on that one. And then you want to try the next one, and you quit on that as well. And it's just, then you won't get those results.
Facts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't see Cristiano Ronaldo playing tennis and then basketball and then football.
Yeah. It's the focus.
You gotta just stick to one thing.
Yeah.
Everything will work.
Yeah. Now you ask me what I thought was needed to succeed with ecom in terms of mindset, but maybe more in terms of the more technical stuff with your agency and also with the coaching you're doing. What is it you're seeing that works for people?
Good question. I think agency and ecom, obviously the way that it differentiate is agency is a lot more about you, of course.
Yeah.
Whereas ecom is more about the product.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, of course, there's also things that you can do.
I agree.
But I think for agency is more about what I try to teach my student a lot is it's all about the communication, how you portray yourself.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you can only do the things that you know about. That is the only the information you have is the only actions that you can take.
Yeah.
So they should study the game and become better and obsessed with learning, because then they can take better decisions.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, it's just a volumes game. How many people out there know that you exist?
Yeah.
And what do they know you for? Do they know you for a person that can help them, or how do you portray yourself online?
Yeah.
And then in agency, it's a cruel world, right? Because it's at the end of the day, it's just about case studies. Yeah. So one very good case study with your agency, when one very good client can retire you, because that gives you the confidence needed to go out and present your solution to more clients. The fact that you did good results for one client can allow you to work with better, high-paying, more streamlined clients, and then it's just it spreads like rings in the water.
Yeah, so you think it's a snowball effect?
100%.
Yeah. But then how do you get that first interesting client that you can scale?
Yeah, that's the tough thing, is that you have to get the bad clients before you get the good client.
Yeah.
And then you have to learn from the bad clients. What went wrong? How could I make my service better? Yeah. Did I maybe set some wrong expectations with this client and then I didn't meet them? Why didn't I meet them? So you kind of experiment with these worse clients in the beginning, and then suddenly you just break it, and then you get a good case study. So typically it's a client with a good foundation, market fit, and then you implement the system that you have, and then it works.
Yeah.
Right? Because you also know that in ecom, for example, if you do an ad strategy, good creatives for a very good product that is highly trendy, for example, or that solves a big problem, then the ad strategies works well.
Yeah.
Same in agency, right? When you implement a service for a client that is a good client, then it also works.
Yeah, when the entire kind of funnel, when the entire almost supply chain sticks together, then it's just way easier.
Then it works.
Yeah.
And that's just the unfair thing with agencies, that you can take the exact same customer journey and funnel and implement it into a well-oiled, working, already coaching business, for example, and then it works very well. And then you can take it into a bad coaching business, and then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's just about getting there.
Yeah, and it depends a lot on what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing I'm very curious about is what were your specific kind of expertise with your agency? Like, was it short form or what exactly was it?
It was short form that I started out with,
Yeah.
like only offering short form content.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when I delivered my service and had months of that, then I also realized that there were things that I couldn't control.
Yeah.
So I delivered like visual content, of course, which looked cool, and like organic reach, and then like nurturing their personal brand and building people's brand. But it was annoying that it was like I was kind of like it was based on luck whether my videos would do great or bad, because it was fully organic.
Yeah.
So that's why I partnered with Jeppe, my previous business partner. He was doing all the ads and the funnels.
Oh, right.
So we combined like very good content with paid traffic, predictable eyeballs, together with a customer journey.
Okay.
So that's how we started to scale info.
Nice. Yeah, actually, I just wasn't aware. Actually, as we said in the beginning, this is actually like the first time that we really discussed like more in depth about our stories.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe one thing that you and I always try to be very honest, and I actually think in this talk right here, we've actually talked a lot about the downsides of being an entrepreneur. Like, what are you kind of loving with it, and why do you still want to do it?
Yeah. Very true. So I just think it's the coolest thing ever to build things.
Yeah.
Like the fact that I can wake up every single day and I can spend my hours on something that I genuinely enjoy, and I can create something that wasn't there. So like I build something, I do things, and then suddenly there's something there. And the fact that it also has a positive impact on other people or the world, so to say, that is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And it's very, very cool that you get to do that. And then because you bring value, and because you do something with the right intentions, then it also rewards you back with you making some money that you can then you can travel, or you can give back to your family, or you can you can do cool things, and you don't have that headache of stress kind of.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the same for me. Like, it was so cool for me seeing a logo I made in Photoshop and then being onto a physical product. And I specifically actually remember one time one of my very good childhood friends came to me and he told me that he had seen like the packaging for Scandinavian Rest in a window in his local city just by walking on the street. And I thought that was so cool, to actually see everything, make an impact,
exactly,
have happy customers, and the freedom it creates as well.
Very, very true. And I think it is like these like core experiences that you remember, For example, we also had like our first like team vacation.
Yeah.
So it was like we were 8 people at that time in Cyprus, for example.
Yeah.
It was like unreal, seeing these people in real life that like works full time for me, and I pay them a salary, and they all work in my company, with the company T-shirts, and like I was like, holy shit, what is this? You kind of like take it for granted every day when you work, because everything, as we also talked about, like daily routines, it just becomes one big pile of the same thing every day.
Yeah,
you wake up, you go gym, you work, and then you do it tomorrow. So it's like these moments where it's like a friend spotted your logo in a window, or like meeting your team members, or like shaking hands with a student, or
I agree.
It's like those moments are the best.
The kind of experiences that it gives you are just second to none. And you will never be able to experience that from a typical 9 to 5, because they are so fundamentally different. And also think that's, of course, the money and the finances is one of the things, but also the experiences that trying to go build a journey for your own is like, it's so different what you can do.
It just builds you into everything else, You become a better friend, a better boyfriend, a better son, because you just take responsibility. Because you have to take responsibility in your business, If you don't get the content done, for example, who else?
Exactly. That's the thing. And I also think it gives you a lot of perspective on everything in life. Like when you face large issues or things you had to solve in your business, then other smaller issues that maybe back in the day were extremely large feel like, it just feels like that's the easiest thing to solve.
It is true when you hear some of the things that your friends back home struggle with, or like your girlfriend, for example.
It's like,
then you're like, okay, that is a big problem we have here.
That's not a big problem. Let me tell you about that. So I agree. Being able to build something and actually make a real impact I also know for me, like when I reach I think it was 100,000 customers, at the end of the day, people also have to realize it literally just becomes a number on a screen.
Yeah.
Like you don't reflect that much on it. But then I remember also, I think it was a family member who told me about, okay, that would equate to this stadium, this football stadium being completely filled up with all of your customers. That kind of also did something, in my mind of visualizing the impact.
Yeah. And it is back to what we talked about. Everything is just like framing.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, it's how you see it. This could also be silly, right? That you and I in front of like these cameras are sitting here and talking, but then you can upload it online, for example, and then maybe 3,000 people will see it. And then they can hear a brutally honest talk about like ups and downs with a business and why you shouldn't and why you should.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I also think like back to what got you started with Center Stay, that kind of ad. I saw some YouTubers like, I think, at least from my experience, there seems like to be so many ambitious, driven young people out there as well. So I think it's really cool to be able to, help and set kind of some guidelines or show the path at least. Like I didn't have any path to follow.
Nope.
When I started out.
I was very fortunate that I had somewhat of a path.
Yeah.
And of course I learned some stuff, but I also learned that I missed something.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that is just what entrepreneurship is about. Like you learn what works and you learn what doesn't.
Yeah.
And then as you said, it's all about like adjusting.
Yeah.
So that you don't make the same mistakes twice.
Yeah.
Kind of like have somewhat of a responsibility kind of.
Yeah, you do.
So like, for example, like I was very happy, for example, when I saw that you got into coaching.
Yeah.
You know? Because I knew that you had so good numbers in ecom, and I saw the articles. I checked your Danish like company. I could like literally see okay, this guy did this, you know. So for me, like, okay, good that he's taking this responsibility and showing people that it's like 2 or 3 steps behind him how they can do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I wish that more people like have the same opportunities that I do.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like the fact that I can build my own business and help my family a little bit and do these things, like it isn't the backbone of happiness and your life success or whatever, but it's just a better life than I had before.
I know it definitely is. Like it's also
it really is.
We are very honest here and talk about the downsides as well, but there is a reason why we're both doing it and going in that direction. It is different opportunities. It is. But I agree with this responsibility, right? I have so many young people who ask for advice or whatever, and you can tell like they really want to do something similar as to what you've done. Probably you've got the same as well, right? And so being able to hopefully just make that path a bit easier is really cool. Exactly. Yeah. Because it's just about people knowing what's possible, you know. Yeah. I have some friends that are back home that I went to high school with that are my good friends. And they work their ass off at uni, you know, and at a job. And they're so talented. They study business as well. Yeah. And I really respect the fact that they're doing it. But sometimes I also like, fuck, if you just took the same energy and the same input and your knowledge and like them as a person and you canalize that into your own thing, how much more rewarding it would be for them. Yeah, much more freedom. Freedom and the thing that comes like, I really respect the 9 to 5 and the uni life. I have nothing against it whatsoever. But for most people, I also just think that it is an excuse at the end of the day. It's easier to just follow that path and like, that's what I want to do. Yeah. It's easier to do that than admit to yourself that I actually want something more. Yeah. You know? It's way easier, and it's actually fun. Like I had the talk with Hanno previously today. Like a lot of people always say that, you know, I also respect the 9 to 5 a lot. I actually do, and I get that business isn't for everyone. Yeah. But at the same time, a lot of people say that the 9 to 5 is the safe route. Whereas in my books, I think like I really don't think it's the safe route. Like going and spending so much time on only becoming good at one thing, then to get a job where you can potentially get laid off if the boss decides to. Yeah. Is that really, I'm thinking like, is that really that safe? In my mind, I would then rather upskill myself, become better, get more skills to have more opportunities. I think building your character is maybe the safest route, in my opinion. 100% agree. Yeah. You know, like 100% agree. Yeah. Because with the things you and I know now on the resume that we have just from running our own businesses, we could get any corporate job that we want. Yeah. Like you could be the ecom marketing manager at
literally anywhere, you know, and I could get a job at any marketing agency.
Yeah,
also.
yeah,
Because the resume is just there. When these corporate companies are looking to hire candidates, they can like, oh, should I pick one of the guys from these 5,000 people that graduated the same university, read the same books, or should I get Nikolai here, who built this business, that did these things, and has this skill set?
The thing is, you literally you don't stand out on your resume like when you do the same thing as everyone else.
Yeah.
You can never stand out that much.
Nope.
Even no matter how good grades you get.
Yeah.
Like it is the experiences on the side and the skills from that.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I just wish that more people would realize that.
Yeah.
Because it in our world and their world, it's two different boxes. But I 100% believe that there is some sort of middle ground.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to just commit to a 9 to 5 and just do that for the rest of your life. And you don't have to cut everything out and then do your business and run with that.
Yeah.
And then never live a normal life or whatever people would say, you know.
Definitely. You can always switch route.
Yeah.
But also I think there's a very large reason why the people who do end up creating their own business and get somewhat results, there's a reason why they keep going in that path, right? It's because you have more freedom. You can you can schedule pretty much life how you want it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just the opportunities that comes with it, you know.
Yeah.
For example, my mom is a teacher, right? And she works like 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
And like, I've also been like a part-time substitute teacher before I got into business. And I know how draining it is to like teach kids and always like be fresh and happy and teach and people and all of these things. And like when you have the knowledge that you and I have, it's like, okay, how could my mom with her skill set do something else where she would have the same impact on people, but maybe she would work fewer hours and then charge for her knowledge, or just like design a way in a life that would be more fitting for her, for example.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe it's also the same with when you had your team. Like I found a lot of good employees. I really don't call the employees actually, because I see them more as almost business partners, essentially helping grow the business. But I found so many good team members, is probably the right word, by just looking in my own network from people who were like really hardworking and kind of smart.
Yeah.
And I just brought them on and they are crushing it right now as well, whether it's in ecom or in the 3PL or in the coaching. Was that the same with you? Because I know you've had a lot of...
We had 15 full-time employees in April, for example. And we didn't have one person with previous experience.
Yeah.
Like we just hired, same as you, off network. So like if it's a good person, hard working, and has a decent level of communication already, and we like him, then we'll bring him on and train him and give them everything that they want, right?
Yeah.
So it isn't that hard to start these days.
Yeah.
Like it's never been easier.
Yeah.
But it's also at the same time, it's never been easier to do nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You can just drain your day away at media and then
scrolling TikTok.
Especially in Denmark, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much the news media in Denmark.
And you can get paid to study, you know? What would you say to people like watching this at home, for example, and they're living that comfortable life now and maybe they want to do something like...
I think the main thing I would say, it depends on what they want. Like I wouldn't just sit here and tell everyone to start a business because in the end, it isn't everyone who wants that life because it also comes with a lot of more responsibility. You're dialed in 24/7. Like I can never turn off my brain in terms of business and responsibilities and issues. So I would ask what they want, but if they want something different, something more, other experiences, they feel like, I think a lot of people walk around with the feeling of wanting more just in general. And I think if you do that, then definitely go ahead and apply yourself in something. Like it can be ecom, it can be an agency, but you just need to go all out for it. And really, you also need to be in love with learning. I think that has helped me a lot. I love learning new stuff. I just think it's so much fun. And I think if you can get those kind of traits, then you can get really, really far. Yeah. Because in the beginning, it's just about getting better also as well.
It really is.
Yeah.
It is just, with anything people do, they should just, like, hopefully they'll just realize how much better life gets when you just do your best.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think you also feel the best on like days where you like crushed meetings and like crushed your to-do list and you hit the gym and you ate good food and like, because for many that would be like a tough day or a long day, but it's like,
no, I agree.
There's no better feeling going to sleep on like a day where you just like crushed it.
Where you went all out. You did
like,
10 out of 10 in terms of input.
Yeah, you just ticked all the to-do list and you crushed everything. You had good meetings and like.
Yeah, I agree. And I think those are also the common traits I see with people who are running their own businesses. They love getting the to-do list out. They just love feeling good about the kind of input they've had, because I think a lot of also business owners probably have very high standards in terms of the amount of input.
100%. Because you also realize that you can't control the outcome. You know, like you can't get people to buy Scaling With Ecom. You can't force people to buy ecom products. You can't. It's impossible because you can't depend on it, because it's another person that has to do the action. But every single day you can just control and make sure that the odds are just stacked in your favor. By doing the things you can control.
Exactly. And that you build up everything. You scale up everything and you become better. And I think it's the same when you're starting out, right? You cannot guarantee when you get your first client in your agency or your first order. But what you can control is how you portray yourself, how good your site is, how good your skills are, how good your sales are, whatever, right? And then the results will come. You cannot guarantee when they will come, but they will come at some point.
They will always come.
You
know? Because it's a competition also. Again, I know you played football when you were younger, and me too. And it's
I wasn't as good as you probably, but
No. But I think it is just a competition at the end of the day. Because in agency, for example, a lot of people will be like, oh, but how can you guarantee that you'll get a client? Or in ecom, like can I know that I'll get a sale? It's competition. If, for example, in agency, if you have the best service, because you are the smartest and you have taken in all the information and resources, you are officially the smartest, which means that you have the best information to take your actions from. You're also the person that reaches out to the most people. And you try to become better, and you just work more hours with better information.
Definitely.
Then you'll also get clients.
You
Funny
will.
enough,
And I think I've never, so far in my life, probably seen somebody who worked really, really hard and just never stopped working really, really hard for a period of 1 to 2 years that didn't get results.
Facts.
You cannot guarantee when you'll get results, but you can guarantee it if you really apply yourself for 1 or 2 years, you will get results. You literally will.
100%. Because it is easy. It's not easy. Let's keep the honest, brutally honest here. It's not easy, but it is simple.
Especially if you apply yourself, if you do the input,
exactly,
you will. But the issue is that a lot of people aren't willing to do the input, and that's the most difficult part for a lot of people.
Because I would bet my own money that if you every single day work 6, 7, 8 hours on your agency, and you constantly take the feedback that you get and apply it again with the knowledge that you learned, and just like continue that feedback loop. If you do that for 2 years and you're not making 10K a month, for example, because that is the mark that everyone is like $10,000 a month. If you're not making that within 2 years, then I don't know what went wrong. I can't even see it as an.
It's not an option.
I can't comprehend it, if it's not happening.
But
how do you, in this world, Nikolai, like fucking, it's the most fast-paced, dopamine, social media. Like young people, have never been diagnosed more with depression and anxiety. How do you like comfort yourself with the fact that you need to work hard for maybe 1 or 2 years on something?
I think as well, I can only relate to like how I positioned it, but it was just for me about wanting something different. I just could not see myself going down the same path as everyone else, literally everyone else. And then I think it's also about, when we talk about your morning routines, all that kind of stuff, a lot of people, when they maybe start out, then they go way too far in terms of their habits. Like you also just need to take one step at a time, building up your discipline. So it could also just be sticking to going to the gym, right? You need to build up the discipline for yourself, and also when it comes to putting in the work and all that kind of stuff. So I think deciding, like really sitting down with yourself, deciding what you really want. And for me, it helped a lot. Kind of future pacing, kind of my perfect life. I know it doesn't exist, but I had that vision in my mind that gave me so much motivation to get going, and then just building up the discipline, one step at a time, literally.
And it's true what you said, that a lot of people, like they they set themselves up for failure.
Yeah.
Because like they get hyper motivated, and then like they make their morning routine where they have to do like 5 things.
Yeah.
And then they only do 4 of them, and then they get a negative experience from it.
Yeah, like you cannot go from zero, like from the worst routine possibly to then the most perfect routine. That's not how humans work.
No, not at all. People should just add one thing to their life that supports where they are going and their dream life.
Exactly.
And they should add that one thing and then do it for 3 weeks and then add another.
Yeah, exactly. And it could be the most basic things. Like
just go to the gym.
Yeah, go to the gym, reading a book, eating healthy.
Yep. Read 10 minutes a day for 21 days.
Getting your hours when you sleep. Like,
it's the 80-20.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Go to the gym, get enough sleep, eat decent food, and work on your business.
Yeah, boom.
Then you're good.
That's the formula.
There you have it. Yeah. There you have it.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody who really can't get their first client in an agency?
Good question. I think ask yourself, why haven't you gotten your first client yet? So look at the inputs that they've done, and then they have to like accept with themselves that wasn't the right thing and that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, in my opinion, it always comes down to your offer. So what problem is your service solving for this group of people? Is it attractive enough?
Yeah.
The best way to realize it is just market research.
Yeah.
Ask your typical client, what are they struggling with? What are their bottlenecks? What kind of trouble are they facing in their business? Where are they spending a lot of time? Why are they not where they want to be? And then structure your service as the vehicle from them getting from their current to desired situation.
Yeah.
And then add volume. So reach out to as many people as possible, of course, without spamming and copy pasting, but always hyper personalized. Bring value in your first message. Ask a simple question to get their attention and just repeat.
Boom.
And then you'll have your first client.
Nice.
All right, Nico. So let's say that I haven't gotten my first sale yet with my ecom brand. Like, what should I do?
You have to look at a couple of things, right? The first thing you have to look at is, how is your site looking? Yeah. Is it good enough looking? Have you built it as the major companies have? If that's the case, like that's the first thing to start. If that's the case, then I would look at the ads as well. Are they also of enough of a high quality to convert people? And if you know you're good at building sites, if you know you're good at making ads, but you aren't getting sales, then it's the product. Then you need to switch that up. So kind of building ads and building your site, those are kind of systems and things you can kind of almost get to perfection. And then it's kind of the product is the only final variable, right? So you have to break things down, kind of be honest with yourself, look at competitors further out, what are they doing? And then if you are good at doing the site and ads, then literally just test a new product.
I really appreciate the talk, bro. It was really, really good. And it was nice to learn more about you and your journey.
Likewise.
If you were to summarize the conversation, what would you take away from it?
I think very honest. I think we are very similar in a lot of areas. So I think an honest view into being an entrepreneur is probably a good title.
A good title.
Something. Yeah.
I agree. I think it was cool learning from like your story and your experiences, even though that you were in ecom and I was in agency. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's just the same thing. You know, in terms of if you're not succeeding, tweak it, feedback, redo, have a long enough time horizon. Make sure that there's market fit, either with your agency service. Does people actually have a problem that your service solves? If yes, then you're good. Does people actually want to buy the ecom product? Is your site looking good? Are the ads good?
Yeah.
Then you're probably on track.
And then seriously input some work. Like seriously work. Yeah.
Work more with the right input.
Yeah.
I think that's, if people can end this convo with some hard work and the right input, and just sticking to it for a long enough period of time, then they're good.
Definitely.
So I think me and Nikolai will say thank you so much for listening or watching this little episode here. And I think if you want to learn more about either of us, then they can just like check the link or whatever.
Yeah.
And if they have any questions, then they can always send a message, I think.
Yeah. Try find us on Instagram.
Yeah, try that.
Yeah. Okay.